Hello there. My name is Faithful Esther Abahomwangi, and I am the Education USA advisor at the US Embassy here in Kigali. So today we're going to be looking at step 3 of the 5 steps to US study, and step 3 is all about completing your application. But before I get into that, let me tell you about who we are. Who is Education USA? Who are we? What do we do? So Education USA is a U.S. Department of State network that is in over 175 countries and territories and with more than 430 student advising centers. Education USA promotes higher education to students all over the world by providing accurate, current, and comprehensive information on accredited post-secondary institutions. Education USA is your official source to U.S. higher education. So now that you know a little bit about us and what we do, let us dive in with step 3 of US study, completing your application. So today we're going to be looking at 3 main things: the basic requirements when you're doing an application, the application requirements, and the application portals from which you can apply. Now, if you're applying to an undergraduate program, the basic requirements you need is a high school diploma. And you will have to mail official high school transcripts from your high school to the school that you're applying for this undergraduate program. And if you're applying to a graduate program, the same thing applies. They will need to see your bachelor's degree diploma, your bachelor's degree official transcript mailed from the school to where you are applying to. Now, if you're applying for a doctorate program and you had a master's at some point, they will want to see those official transcripts from that master's degree. Now, before I delve into any more in regard to application requirements and application portals, I want to share with you a student's perspective on this entire application process. So today we'll be hearing one of our alumni share his student perspective on this entire process. So delve in with me as you listen to him.
Hey guys, are you starting the application process soon, and you're kind of wondering what are the steps you need to follow and where you can start your application? So in this video, I'm going to give you the overview of the application process. My name is Samuel Mucho, and I was part of the EducationUSA Scholars Program 2020, and now I'm currently a student at Harvard University. When I was in high school, I used to think that only grades and test scores are going to play a big role in my application. But as I started working on the application process, I came to realize that those were not the only factor in the application process, especially when you're applying to the top universities in the US. Like most of them, they have this holistic admission, and what that means schools are not going to review application based on your GPA only. Like they want to see even your essays, they want to see your personal character, they want to see what are the things you are involved in, like your extracurricular activities, and all of those things are going to contribute a lot. In order to understand it visually, you can consider this pie chart from Make Review. They show you what the students have control over and what is beyond the students' control. And the red part shows that like all of these things are going to contribute to the application, like GPA, standardized tests, extracurricular activities, application essays, even recommendations. All of these are going to contribute to the application. So you don't have control over your teacher's recommendation, but you can improve your application essay. There are basically 3 types of applications you can do. One type being early decision, second type being regular decision, and the third one being rolling admission. So when you're applying on early decision, one thing you have to keep in mind is you can only do early decision on one school. The second thing is early decision is binding, which means when that school admits you, you will definitely have to attend that school. And the third thing, usually early decision deadlines are due November 1st or early November. But regular decision, you can apply to as many as colleges as you want. And the decision is not binding, which means you can when they admit you, you can choose from the list and choose where you want to go. On rolling admission, what you have to remember is rolling admission didn't have one specific date. So you probably send application, and then they will give you the decision after 4 to 5 weeks. So foreign admission is a good way to have admission aside. I'd recommend starting with a college list. So if you haven't already, you can start working on the college list and then put there like 10 to 20 universities you want to apply to. For my case, I started with a list of 50 universities, which I knew that would give me enough financial aid. And then I started narrowing down my list until I had 12 universities I wanted to apply to. So there are a lot of resources out there that you can use in order to make a decision like which school is best fit for you. So you can use College Board Big Future, and that can help you to narrow down your list. And then make a list like 5 schools that are your dream schools that you think like this will be a miracle to attend this university. Like those schools typically will have less than 10% admission rate, acceptance rate, and then have other 5 schools that you have a high chance of getting into. Those you can call them best fit, those schools that are best fit, and then other 5 schools that are safety schools. Those are kind of schools that you think will be easy to get into. So after building your college list, go on and then open Common App account, and then put there the list of schools you want. And the college list is not like you don't have to stick to it. Sometime in the future you can come up with an idea, and then you are like, that what, now I've changed my mind, you have to apply to this other school. So you can change it whenever you want. And then after putting them in Common App, you can start your application by filling the Common App, and then when you finish it, writing those personal essays, extracurricular activity list. When you have filled it out, then you can send your application. My advice is don't try to be someone else in your application, especially when you're writing your essays. Try to talk about yourself, talk about your passions, your intellectual curiosity, or extracurricular activities that you are involved in. Don't try to talk about something that helped another person get into a school, because what he talked about, if it worked for him, doesn't necessarily mean it will work for you. So and another thing is, don't try to talk about the things you think the admission officers will be interested in reading. Okay, this was probably the first mistake I made, because when I was writing my first draft, I imagined about the things that I think would be great for admission officer when they read my application. Then I talked about everything in the personal statement. So don't try to write different things in your personal essay. Instead, be specific about one thing. Or you can also talk about different things, but make sure that it goes in the same line with the theme of the application. One last piece of advice is rejection doesn't mean you will not be successful in your life. So don't treat admission process as if it is going to be the end of your life. So if you get rejected, keep applying and don't stress too much all the day. Be optimistic and then keep working on your applications. Maybe it will work out to other schools. Okay guys, this is the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.
Thank you for watching that student's perspective on this entire application process. And now I'm going to touch a little more in depth at some of the things that he mentioned. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the transcripts. Like I mentioned earlier, you will be required to mail official transcripts from your high school or from your undergraduate program directly to the school that you are applying to. Now, if you happen to be applying on any of the application portals, you will be required to upload official transcripts. If your official transcripts are not yet out and you're applying before you're done graduating, you will be still required to mail those when you receive them. The second thing I want to talk about is the essays. essay writing is a very big part of your application, and this is an opportunity for the school to get to know you as an individual, to get to know a little bit more about you, your personality, who you are, what you like, besides just looking at the grades. So please put a lot of time and emphasis and perfect your essay writing skills. If you're an undergraduate, if you're applying for an undergraduate program, you will be required to write personal statements. Usually the school will provide you with prompts from which you can choose to write a personal statement from. So you may have even up to 5 different prompts and you just choose one that you get to write, or you might have a series of different prompts to choose from or to write. Then, if you're applying into a graduate program, you will not be writing personal statements, but you'll be writing what they call a statement of purpose. So statement of purpose is a little bit more than just telling us what you like and your hobbies and that kind of thing. You're telling us why you want to pursue this program, how it connects to your previous experience, whether it's in work or in your previous degree that you pursued. If you've done some research into the school that you want to apply to, what is it about that department? What is it about that professor that you're interested in doing research with? So you'll be telling us a little more in depth about you as an individual and your career goals. But again, please don't just write it like a CV. Please do tell your story. You want to be able to stand out amidst thousands and thousands of different applications. So please tell your story, show and don't just tell. Then you'll be required to take standardized tests. So one of the tests you might be required to take is the English test. So your school might require you to take a TOEFL exam. If they say that, please always ask them, do you accept Duolingo English tests? Why? Because the Duolingo English test is less than $50, while a TOEFL English test is more than $200. Now, even if you have that money, it's still always wise to be a good steward of your finances. The other kind of standardized test that you'll be required to take if you're applying to an undergraduate program, that is the SATs and the SCTs. And if you are, however, because of ever since the pandemic hit, many schools have become test optional. So please find out from your school, do I have to take an SAT? Do I have to take an SCT? Because if they tell you no, then you don't have to do that. If they tell you we are test optional, ask them, does this affect any financial aid decisions that you will make? Because if they say yes, then it's better to still go ahead and take those SATs. If they say no, we're not going to consider any test in making a financial aid decision, then that's okay. You don't really have to take that SAT or the SAT. So please find out from your school, because for now, many schools are test optional. However, for graduate school, most people applying to graduate schools are still requiring you to take the GRE. You can take the GRE, which is for any master's program or any doctorate program that you want to pursue. However, there's what they call the GMAT, and the GMAT is only specific to business-related programs like the MBA. But unfortunately, here in Rwanda, we don't have a center for you to take the GMAT. The closest to us is in Kampala in Uganda. So I just encourage you to, just study for the GRE and take that. And then you will also need recommendation letters. If you're a high school student trying to apply for an undergraduate program, these can come from your teachers, maybe a coach if you played a sport, your principal, and if you're applying to the graduate program, this could even be your supervisors, maybe where you're working, your professors from the undergraduate program, things like that. Now, please don't spring it up on your recommenders and tell them, oh my gosh, this is urgent. I need a recommendation letter tomorrow at like 2 p.m. No, give them ample time, because if you do that, one, they're probably going to say, oh no, I can't write you this recommendation letter, or they'll write one in such a rush and it will not be a stellar recommendation letter. So approach them ahead of time, request if they're okay with writing a recommendation letter. And if they say yes, it's always good to provide them with some kind of CV that shows your past experiences, your achievements, maybe in leadership, volunteership, any grades, things that you've been a part of, so that they're able to write a good recommendation letter, especially if you are like in a large class and there were so many of you. So if you want it to be more personalized, it's always best to provide some kind of CV. Then, if you are applying to the graduate program, many schools are going to want to see your resume or your CV. But if you're applying to the undergraduate program, many schools will not require it, but still, they could possibly ask for it. So different schools are different. Always best to find out all those details. Lastly, every school is going to want to see your certification of finances documents. This will show things like your assets, things like any credits that you have. Are you paying off a mortgage? Are you paying off any student loans? So the certification of finances, they will want to see, are you able to pay for your school here? And even if you say you're not able to pay, they want proof that you're really not able to pay. So that is something that you will have to keep in mind. Next, we're going to look at the application portals. So luckily for undergraduate programs, you can apply to more than one school, very many schools at the same time, using the same exact portal, using the same exact maybe personal statements and things like that. Some of these include the Common App, the Coalition, the Common Black College application. You can apply for even up to 10 schools using these same application portals instead of doing separate ones over and over again for different schools. However, there might be a school you're interested in that is not on any of these application portals. So in that case, you'll have to go to the school website and apply from the school website. Now, when it comes to graduate school, most graduate schools do not have application portals. You will have to directly apply from the school website. However, there is an exception for those who are interested in law school, med school, and public health. And I will share the resources for that because there are different resources where you can apply to more than one law school, more than one med school in that case. Now, here are some of the resources that I said I'll share for the Common App. That is commonapp.org. The Coalition, it's coalitionforcollegeaccess.org. Common Black College application, it's commonblackcollegeapp.com. Law school is lsac.org. For public health, it's sofas.org. Med school, it's AMCAS. And if you want to study for any of those different standardized exams that you have to take in order to apply, always take advantage of Khan Academy. You can go to the website or you can even find their YouTube channel. They have an amazing YouTube channel and please utilize that. It is all free. So that is my contact information. Once again, my name is Faithful and I'm happy to take your questions. Thank you for attending this session. Goodbye.